Becca Tobin, welcome to Everything Iconic. Becca, how are you doing today?
I'm great. It's early in the morning. I haven't been getting out of my pajamas till about 11 lately, so good.
I see you've been I follow you on social media, and I see you've been going on a lot of walks, which is good. You're at least getting out of the house.
I mean, so many walks. I'm about to lose my mind. I'll walk like 6 miles a day. I
Right.
feel like I'm like retired living in a golf community, but it's good. It's something. How are you?
I'm okay. I've been a little under the weather, but I'm slowly getting better. But yeah, I'm excited. You guys have a new book coming out.
Yeah.
Tell me about Act Like a Lady.
So, Act Like a Lady is kind of the antithesis of the title, which is funny. It's a book of advice. And within the book, the three of us, the hosts of the LadyGang, we each write personal essays that kind of pertain to each lesson or, piece of advice. It's 4 parts. It's the relationship you have with yourself, dating, friends, and career. So,
And you guys have been doing Lady Gang since 2015, right?
yes, can you believe it?
I mean, that's insane. That's insane. Have you guys gotten in any big fights over the years?
What's funny is that I was on Heather Dubrow's podcast yesterday and she asked me the same question. And for 24 hours now, I've been racking my brain for an actual fight. But no, I mean, we have disagreements, but it never gets to an emotional level, which
Right.
is incredible because I'm an actress, so I have many emotions. But I think that being paired with 2 such cool, calm, collected partners has helped me a lot. 3 Beccas in the group would have been Real Housewives status. But since they're so great, it's amazing and so easy.
Did you guys know each other before all this?
So Kelty and I knew each other from a past life when we were dancers in New York. She was a Rockette and I was on Broadway, and we would kind of bump into each other at auditions and we'd be competing for jobs against each other. So we knew each other acquaintance, maybe even less. And then Jack and Kelty, they actually share a mutual ex-boyfriend, and that's how they know each other. But I didn't know Jack until our first day where we pitched this podcast. I met her on that day. Yeah.
Have you guys had any controversies with the podcast? I mean, I'm sure over the years you guys have said things, because I talk sometimes 3 hours a week, and I'm sometimes you just say things. Is there something that sticks out in your mind?
For sure. Yeah, I made a really bad joke a couple years ago, and it was I won't even repeat it because it's even justifying it, I'd get in trouble, that sort of a thing.
Right.
It was a joke, and we had a lot of girls reach out very upset with me, and we also had some girls reach out to the brands that sponsor the LadyGang podcast to tell them to stop doing that. They didn't, thank God. But what's so funny is that joke that I made was years ago. And since then, I've listened to one really popular podcast hosted by a straight man in Hollywood. And he actually uses my same joke regularly.
Oh my God, who is it?
I can't say.
It's probably Dax Shepard. Is it Dax Shepard?
I don't know.
I feel like it is.
It might be. But, it just speaks volumes about, where we're at,
Right.
what people can get away with.
I was reading the book last night, and you describe yourself as the cynical one.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know, I wanted to do sort of the opposite of that. And I just want to know some of the things you like unabashedly.
Oh my gosh.
Within pop culture. So first of all, in terms of when you were a teen,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of music did you like? What bad pop music or, good pop music did you like?
I was a walking stereotype. I loved Britney Spears. I loved Christina Aguilera. I loved NSYNC. I loved Backstreet Boys. I loved the mainstream pop culture. I also had a weird emo edgy side that would sing Jewel in my shower to myself and cry. But mostly I was pretty mainstream, and I still really do unabashedly love Britney Spears and that whole age of pop music. But I would say that Real Housewives now is the thing that I wholeheartedly love so much, and it brings me so much joy.
I want to talk about this. So you watch all the franchises? Do you watch some of them?
I try really hard to get it all in, but who has the time for that? I mean, what am I talking about? I certainly do. But I also
have the time, Becca.
It's true, but I have to walk 6 miles a day, so it's like you got to get it in. I love New York so much,
So funny.
and they are not disappointing right now.
No.
Holy
I
shit!
saw some people complaining about it online, and I'm like, what more can they give us? Like, they're so fun.
It's like Sonia Morgan full tilt. Like
Right.
there's nothing better. I love Beverly Hills. I love Orange County. I love Atlanta. I think that's it. I can't get back into Jersey. I was into it in the beginning, but like, yeah, no, that's about it.
I love when a Housewives watcher says, "That's it." Like, you just named 4 series, and you're like, "That's it." Like, like that's
4 hours of TV in a week. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the Atlanta Zoom reunion?
No, but I have it recorded, but I heard about the comment made about social distancing, her breasts social distancing.
Oh, Becca,
and
so good.
It's like the comment of quarantine.
It's shockingly like I had very low expectations. I thought, I was just happy they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out to be so amazing. So amazing.
I gotta watch that.
Okay, so back to your cynical side. I also want to know like your favorite movies. Like what kind of stuff do you like?
Okay. My favorite movies. I love like a really great rom-com. One of my favorites is a really under the radar one. Failure to Launch was on recently.
Stop it. That's unacceptable.
I know.
There's so much animal work in that movie. Don't you think there's like animals?
Well, the theme is the animals are acting out against him because the universe needs him to get his life right. But like it's Bradley Cooper pre-Hangover. Like there's so much richness in there, and I love Sarah Jessica Parker. What else is some other really great
Did you ever see that one where it was like, did you hear about the Morgans where it's her and I want to say Hugh Grant and they have to go into hiding or something? It's but Sarah Jessica got like the tail end of the stick or whatever.
She got like what Reese turned down in the 2000s, you know?
Yeah, like they went to Katherine Heigl, then they went to Reese, and then they went to Sarah Jessica.
It's so true. It's so true. I just love a rom-com. Like I'll never turn that off. And then I also, Bridesmaids is a movie that no matter what, without a doubt, I will cry laughing at certain scenes over and over again. And like anything Melissa McCarthy, like I know that they aren't critically acclaimed films like Spy, but
Spy's
Identity.
Good. No, Spy
is so good. Identity Theft also very strong. And I love any Melissa McCarthy movie.
Right. Even the one where she's like a Girl Scout. I mean, they're all funny in their own way, but also some of them are pretty bad and like in a fun way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, the LadyGang, you guys have done touring. You did a TV show. You've done a book now.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on the list? What else do you guys want to do?
Well, we have a clothing line coming out, a collection with Express in July.
Did you guys think, like, when you started this, did you even imagine all of this stuff happening?
No, but this is like how my life goes. You know, it's like you want something like as an actress, I'm like, oh, so planning ahead for the next 5 years, like when Glee ended, I was like, okay, so I'm going to manifest like another scripted TV show. And the universe was like, nah, bitch, you're going to do a podcast and an unscripted show and all this other random things that like you've never even thought of, which I love. I think it's been the greatest blessing because it's also made it fun because I don't have expectations for where this brand is going. We just sort of like the door opens and we walk through it, which is such a lovely way to live after being an actress and like forcing down doors just to be seen and liked and approved. Like it's so lovely. Like I don't know who to thank for it, but it's great. Probably Kelty. She's like the brains behind this entire operation.
Well, I was going to say there's something so powerful about being in control of your own career. And I think like being an actress, you just don't have the control because, scripts are so reliant on looking for a specific person. And then there's so many politics involved. So I think it's amazing that you guys have been able to grow so much. It's inspiring, I think.
Thank you.
Tell me about why should people pick up the book? I was reading and I loved it last night, so I think everyone should pick it up. And it's not just for women either. I think it's great for gay men too.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say probably not straight men because there's things in there that are like so shockingly disgusting, like the story about when Kelty left a tampon in for days on end. Gross.
Straight men listening to my podcast, Becca. That's not happening.
You know what? I don't know. I think you're a universal taste. Well, yeah, I think that it's to pick it up. That what's funny is there's everything in it from girls in college that are kind of figuring out like navigating who to date, what to do about fuckboys, and how to handle toxic friendship. So there's stuff like that that was advice that we wish we had had in our early 20s or just 20s in general. And then there's stuff for like old married ladies like myself who just want to laugh at the personal essays about like, well, actually, Kelty has a really great essay about her first divorce or her divorce, not first, hopefully only.
Hopefully only.
Yeah. So there's like still a lot of heart in it too. So if women are going through a divorce, it's like, we're like, the stigma is such bullshit. And she kind of tells the story, and it's just telling stories to make women feel less alone, whatever they're going through. So it's sort of for everyone except for my parents.
But was there stuff in there? Because there is a lot in there that definitely crosses a line in certain ways, and not in a bad way. It's just there's a lot of things that are in there that are very personal. I wondered if there was anything you were too afraid to put in there. I mean, it seems like it kind of goes there.
Yeah, we decided that since we have this podcast and we've had it for 5 years almost, we were like, we have to tell stories that these girls haven't heard before, which sometimes means getting a little more vulnerable because you like to keep it light on the podcast. She may have mentioned her divorce flippantly in the past, but she's never really gone there as far as like, there's a lot of pain and sadness. And so we kind of took those stories and just went a little deeper so that we weren't a total buzzkill on the podcast. The hardest things for me to write about were any of my like sexual trysts before Zach, because I talk about him sometimes on the podcast, but I don't get specific. And it also, with a podcast, like you probably feel the same way. Yeah, you do it, you record it, it kind of lives forever, but like who goes back and listens to those podcasts? Right. Not my in-laws, Yeah. But they are going to pick this book up. So those were the things, like I had a relationship with a sex addict, and I go into major detail about our experience, and like my butthole clenches every time I think of anyone I know reading it.
What did you learn from that relationship with the sex addict?
What I learned was what I like in the bedroom. So it was sort of my test driving of sexual partners so that I could land on what ultimately ended up being my perfect flavor, if you will, my husband. But, I felt like I needed to really try it out. And I tell girls out there, like, you probably should, if don't be afraid to add notches on the old belt. If you're careful and responsible, I think it's important to try out different sexual partners.
And it's important to be sex positive too. I think in general, oftentimes that could be such a taboo topic. Mm-hmm. What about the other girls? I know they're not as, and I don't want to say as open, but they're not as forthcoming. Was it hard for them to kind of go there with certain essays?
Yeah, they're not as vulgar. No, I think that I love Jack's parts of the book because she gets really open about like body image stuff and how she's sort of tortured herself over the years. And if you looked at Jack, she's like got the body of a supermodel. She's the ultimate cool girl. She's stunning. And so I think that her honesty, and it doesn't come across as that like gross Hollywood type of like body positivity stuff. It's just genuine. Like we're all the same. Every woman has moments where we hate ourselves and man, like, and it's okay. And she kind of goes through her journey of that. And so she brings a lot of that kind of heart to the book. And then, Kelty is just so, she's a special snowflake. And so
she's so funny. I was loving her parts of the book last night. I mean, I loved all of it, but yeah, I was loving her parts of the book. It was just so her.
It's so her. Yeah. And she's kept a journal her whole life. And when you read excerpts from this journal, it's our book. You know what I mean? It's so uncensored, and she so sometimes lacks self-awareness in a beautiful, like adorable way. And so she does a lot of that in the book.
Speaking of journals, I know we were texting about this or DMing about Jessica Simpson's book.
Oh my God.
Please tell me what you thought.
Holy shit. First of all,
when I went to your podcast, I told you how good it was, and I could tell you were like, I don't believe him.
No, you actually turned me on. I was like, you know what? Kelty said it was great, but she says everything's great. But when you said it was great, I was like, okay. And I knew you were a true fan. So she's the reason that I started these 6 mile walks, because I just didn't want the audiobook to end. Holy shit. I did not know that she went there in all aspects of her life. Her dad, her career, Nick, her drinking. Like it was bonkers.
John Mayer.
John Mayer.
All of it was insane. And I couldn't believe that. I mean, I'm sure you know from writing the book that usually the publishers can get weary about publishing certain specific names or things like that. And I was shocked that she did.
Same. And I also wonder, like, what the status is with John Mayer. Like, has he refuted these statements? Like, has he, but I guess not. But he was completely emotionally not abusive, but like manipulative. And he reminds me of so many guys, like just so many guys. It's so
especially
gross.
Here in LA, like it was such like a Hollywood LA straight guy kind of vibe.
Completely. And like he needed to be a tortured soul. So he had to like, the push and the pull. But then I went on from Jessica Simpson to the Demi Moore audiobook.
I love the Demi Moore book. Did you like it?
Incredible. The two of those books, like I went on to listen to others and I just don't care about anybody else. Those two are the best memoirs I've read as far as Hollywood women go.
Yeah, you know, the Demi Moore book, I agree. I thought it was just so amazing. And I had no idea about some of her past and her history as a young woman. I thought her book was just phenomenal.
It was amazing.
I felt like her book didn't really get a lot of like, I don't know,
acclaim.
Attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. And also when people talked about it, they were like, yeah, it's good. I mean, she could have gone farther. I'm like, I don't know if she could have.
Have you been following like her quarantining with Bruce and the kids?
Yeah, now I'm completely obsessed with her.
It's like so wild.
It's
like so I don't understand it.
I don't get it. And I want to go to their compound in Idaho though.
Bruce's wife or whatever like isn't around. I mean, it's like weird. I don't get it.
I want them to get back together. After hearing that audiobook, I want them back.
Now you've done a lot of Hallmark movies. Do we have any Hallmark movies coming up? Because you know I love a Hallmark.
I know you do. No, I don't think so because right now everything's shut down. I've heard rumors that there may be some filming happening soon in Canada, which is where I've shot 2 out of the 3 movies that I've done. Yeah, I don't know. I love doing it. I do like for the last 3 years, I do about 1 a year. It takes 3 weeks and it's like going to summer camp. It's so fun.
And do you notice like the Hallmark fans are weird like myself? Like we all love the Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're like a weird group.
But I get it. I totally get it. And now if I wasn't in them, I think that I would right now be watching them all the time because it's such a like lovely, happy, optimistic, vibe.
Yeah. It was interesting at the beginning of quarantine how they just started playing the Christmas movies over and over again. I think they're still doing it on the weekends. And it's like such a weird thing, but it's like we need that sort of weird comfort right now.
I know. I mean, they already before quarantine did Christmas in July, that whole thing, remember?
Yeah.
So they love, yeah.
I mostly like the holiday ones. Like those are the ones. And I keep saying we need gay people on them. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
but the whole controversy with like the, what was the
ad that was pulled?
The ad that was pulled.
I know. That really turned me off last year.
Same. Yeah. But then they actually put it back on and did a little house cleaning within the organization. So, hopefully we're moving in that direction. It would be amazing.
I hope so, because I love those movies and, I want more. Okay, Glee. Are you noticing people are like watching Glee in quarantine? Is that a thing?
So much. I get so many messages now. Just, it's so funny because it feels like a lifetime ago already. And people screenshot pictures like of their TVs and I barely recognize myself. It's shocking.
I mean, it's truly shocking. Like I always see a lot of people on Twitter will post like clips from especially the later seasons. And it's like, how did this happen? Like,
how? I mean,
how did this happen?
I stopped watching so I didn't watch before joining the show. And then I watched a little bit my first season, but then after that, I kind of stopped watching completely. So I have a really good friend, Jamie Lynn Sigler, who was on Sopranos, and she did the same thing. She said she never really watched it. She kind of couldn't. She was too close to it at the time. But during quarantine, she's gone back and rewatched it. And so I think in a couple years, I could do the same. She says she loves it now because she's watching it as a viewer. Yeah. So I hope I can do that with Glee one day.
When you guys would get the scripts, were there any times where you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
I mean, like weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I sort of.
By the way, I say this with love because I've watched every episode.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. And I think that like that was sometimes that was sort of the appeal, like the crazy, outrageous. there were moments where it was like, okay, we've jumped the shark like 8,000 times. But I think it was just, I miss it. I miss shooting it. And I wish I had sort of enjoyed the end a little bit more as opposed to like being critical of the scripts.
Yeah.
But we were all just sort of like, what is happening? Writers included, like everybody.
I mean, it's so many fucking episodes a year. It's like, I mean, it's bound to get crazy because there's just so much writing. You have to do an hour a week, and you guys were doing like 24 episodes. It's crazy.
Yeah, 22 episodes. Like, I don't understand. I can barely write a pilot myself. And I'm like, there's just no way I could, there's just no world in which I could do this ever. So I'd commend them.
Well, Becca, this was so fun catching up. Hopefully when all of this is over, we can see each other in person.
Yes, please.
Tell everyone where they can find you on social media, where they can pick up the book, anything else you want to plug.
So the book comes out June 2nd. We're in pre-order before that, anywhere books are sold. And you can go to theladygang.com because there's a lot of fun giveaways and incentive campaigns that we're doing. So yeah.
And it's Act Like a Lady. And I know Kelty really wants New York Times, so we got to get that New York Times list.
Oh my gosh. If she doesn't, we're going to have a problem. So yes.
And I will say that pre-orders are the best way to get on New York Times. So if anyone is listening, pre-order right now on Amazon. Yes. Don't wait to buy it. It's really funny. It's really great. And it's so inspiring watching the three of you and what you guys have done with LadyGang podcast and really paved the way for podcasts in so many different ways. And you guys have a network now and all of this wonderful merchandise and TV show and all of that stuff. It's really amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Love you. And hope to see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Becca.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.